It was supposed to be a peaceful getaway. Just me and my girlfriend Maddie, spending a weekend at her family's lake cabin near Tahoe. Her parents had given us the keys as a gift for our 1-year anniversary. We were both 21, excited for a weekend of swimming, grilling, and no one around. The drive took forever, winding roads through endless forests. We got there just before dark. The cabin sat right on the edge of the lake, old but cozy. You could hear the water lapping the shore. I remember thinking it was too perfect. That night, after dinner, Maddie realized she left her phone in the car. I went to get it, and as I walked back toward the cabin, something made me stop. The lights were off. We'd left the living room lights on. I stood there for a second, confused, when I saw the silhouette in the window. Someone standing there, watching me. I ran inside, heart pounding, but the cabin was empty. No one. Lights off, but no signs of forced entry. "Maddie?" I called out. Nothing. Then I heard the floorboards creak above me, slowly, one step at a time. But that didn't make sense. The cabin was 1 floor. I stared up at the ceiling. More footsteps. Closer now. I rushed outside, flashlight in hand, and ran around the building. No stairs, no second floor. Nothing but roof and sky. When I went back in, Maddie was back, confused why I'd run out. I told her what happened, and her face went pale. She said, That doesn't make sense. This cabin burned down 10 years ago." I thought she was joking, but she looked terrified. Pulled out her phone, looked up the address, and I watched the blood drain from her face. "Babe, this isn't our cabin." We grabbed our stuff and ran. When we got back to the road, our car wasn't where we left it, just trees and gravel. The GPS on Maddie's phone suddenly read, "No signal." I don't know how long we wandered that night, calling out for help. When we finally flagged down a ranger at sunrise, he looked at us like we were crazy. "There's no cabin on that side of the lake," he said. "Hasn't been for years." He drove us back to town, and sure enough, the address Maddie's parents gave us led to a completely different road. We still don't know where we were that night, or what we saw, but we both remember the sound of footsteps, coming from a second floor that didn't exist. Last summer, I went to Mexico with 2 of my college friends. We were all 22, just graduated, and wanted one last adventure before adult life crushed us. We stayed at a resort in Playa del Carmen. Beautiful beaches, unlimited drinks, a party every night. On our 3rd night, a local we met at the bar told us about a hidden beach a few miles down the coast. "No tourists," he said. "Just locals. Real experience." So the next morning, we rented scooters and rode out. It was far, way off the usual path. Eventually, the road turned to dirt, and then just sand. We parked and walked through this narrow path surrounded by jungle. After about 15 minutes, we stepped out onto a stunning, empty beach. But something felt off. The air was heavy, too still. No breeze, no sound. Just the crash of the waves and our own footsteps. We set up our towels, cracked open some beers, and went swimming. The water was warm, almost too warm. That's when I noticed something under the surface, a shape. Long, pale, almost human. I dove down, heart racing, but it vanished. When I told the others, they laughed. Probably a log. But I couldn't shake the feeling we were being watched. Later, as we walked along the shore, we saw something sticking out of the sand. Just a few inches of fabric. We dug and found a tattered, moldy backpack. Inside, a wallet, sunscreen, water bottle, and a passport. The photo showed a girl around our age, American, but the passport had expired 6 years ago. We looked around. Nothing but jungle. We decided to leave, but the path back wasn't where we left it. Everything looked different. The trees, the trail, gone. We started walking along the tree line, hoping to find another way. That's when I saw them. Shallow mounds in the sand, dozens of them. Like unmarked graves, each with a small object placed on top. Sunglasses, a flip-flop, a phone case. We ran until we found the scooters. My hands were shaking too bad to start mine, but we finally got them going. That night, I checked online. There were dozens of missing persons cases tied to Playa del Carmen. Tourists who vanished without a trace. The girl in the passport? Her name was Emily Hayes, reported missing in 2017. Last seen, headed to a beach party with a local man, just like us. My cousin and I backpacked through Europe last summer. One of our last stops was a small village in the Swiss Alps, picture perfect, with wooden cottages and snowy peaks in the distance, even in July. We booked a room at this tiny mountain inn, cheap, rustic, and quiet. Run by an old woman who barely spoke English. She handed us a brass key and smiled, but something in her eyes felt off. Like she knew something we didn't. The room was fine. 2 beds, a window overlooking the valley, and old wooden furniture that creaked with every step. That first night, around 2 a.m., we were both woken up by a sound. Screaming. Not loud, not constant, just distant, terrified screaming, echoing across the mountains. We looked out the window. Nothing but mist and moonlight. We asked the innkeeper in the morning, but she acted like she didn't understand. Just kept saying no noises, over and over. The second night, it happened again. Same time, same direction. But this time, the screams were closer. My cousin was visibly shaken. What if someone's hurt out there? We tried calling the police, but our phones had no signal. None of the other guests seemed to hear anything. The third night, we decided to record it. We stayed up, lights off, phone on record. Right on cue, 2:12 a.m., the screams started again. Only this time, there was something new. A whisper. Not from outside. From inside the room. Right behind me. I spun around, but no one was there. My cousin turned white. Dude, look at the mirror. The antique mirror above the dresser was fogged, like someone had breathed on it. And in the center, a handprint. We packed our stuff in silence, ran to the lobby. But the door, which was open every other night, was locked shut. We banged, yelled. And then the whispers came again, surrounding us. The old woman appeared from the stairwell, except she didn't look old anymore. Her face was younger, her eyes pitch black. She smiled and whispered something we didn't understand, and the lights went out. When we woke up, we were in our beds. Morning sun streaming in, bags unpacked, phones at 0%. We bolted. Didn't stop running until we were back at the train station. When I checked the recording later, it was corrupted. But one frame, one frozen second, was clear. It showed me sleeping, and someone standing over me. Someone with black eyes and a twisted grin.